start of third half hour, grade 12, phase 2, 15 July 2020.
Okay. Right, so remember we're on the third field of evidence and it's structural similarities. Are you okay with that? Okay. All right. So what does this say? It shows that all of these organisms came from the same common ancestor. So we looked at this yesterday and we spoke about the fact that this is evidence of divergent evolution or adaptive radiation. This was looking at Darwin's finches, and remember I explained to you yesterday that a common ancestor left the mainland of South America, probably off of Ecuador, and went to, it was a finch, a little tiny brown bird that ate seeds, and on the different islands, because of the different climate on the different islands, the vegetation is totally different on those different islands, even though they're quite close to each other. And what happened is, and remember guys, and you've got to get this right, it's not that this island's got fruit, and so a bird went, I would like to be able to eat that fruit, and so evolved the appropriate kind of beak. It's not like that. It's that there's variation between the beaks of a group of finches, and therefore the ones that had the beak suited to eating fruit survived on that island because there was fruit for them to eat, and the rest of them, sorry for you, they died. Okay, so if we all went into the forest, sorry for you, Michelle, you die because you hit your head on a branch. William dies, Paige survives. Okay, right, we're happy, we understand this. So it's not that the organisms adapted to the environment. It's that as a result of variation, some of them were better suited to survive in a particular environment. You've got to be terribly careful how you express that. Okay, so it's not that Ruth gets into the forest and goes, ideally I need to be short, and so poor little Ruth's legs shrank and Ruth got shorter, and then Ruth didn't hit her head on branches anymore. Yep.
So you're talking about the way the word choice. So if I said that the organisms that evolved with shorter legs were fitter.
Yes. So not that the organisms that evolved with shorter legs, because there's variation between individuals. So the organisms that had shorter legs were better suited to living in that environment. Therefore, they were the ones that survived for longest, got more food, had more sex, had more offspring. Okay. William.
How would you explain that with like the case with the horses, where the environment changed like over time and how quickly?
Then very slowly over time, those ones that had the longest legs were the ones that survived.
So would they produce like offspring that got longer legs?
Yes, because remember, longer legs are the result of genetic mutations. Sorry, Michelle. And if mutations are in the germline, they can be inherited. Okay, therefore more of the offspring have longer legs. Okay, and so on the different islands, there are actually 13 or 14 different species of finches called Darwin's finches, although Darwin didn't spend much time studying them. Okay, some of which have got these really pointy beaks, and those ones probe in the bark of trees for insects. This is a woodpecker, this is insectivorous also, but these ones are the ones that eat seeds. These are seed eaters, this one eats cactus, blah, 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 from one common ancestor. Okay, you happy with that? Okay, right, so we were busy with homologous structures. You've got to get this correct. Okay, so homologous structures, similar structure, different function. You know, and that's an evidence of divergent evolution. You have to know that. Okay. So now we're going to talk about what are called analogous structures. Different structures, similar functions. And this is evidence for.
And then what did you say homologous was?
Similar structure, different function. Okay. And this is similar function, different structure. Okay. All right. I'm going to give you a mnemonic at the end to try and remember it. Okay. All right. So now, and you have to understand this, so listen to me while I explain it to you. This is evidence of, so remember, homologous structures, evidence of divergent evolution. Homologous structures, divergent evolution. Analogous structures, evidence of convergent evolution. Convergent evolution. So organisms that have developed similar features to enable them to do similar jobs. Okay, they came from a totally different origin. They've got different basic structures to make them, but they do the same job. Okay, so an example would be, you see a dolphin and you see a shark. They look quite similar. They've got same kind of, apparently the same kind of fin. But if you look in a shark's fin, it doesn't have the pentadactyl bone structure. Dolphin fin and a shark's fin, if you take them and you dissect them, very different. Okay, so different structure, similar function. Bird of a wing? No. Wing of a bird, wing of a bee. They've got a similar function, but it's a very different structure. Okay, so bird wings and insect wings are analogous structures. You know, this is like in English when you talk about an analogy. It's an analogous structure. Okay, both of these species have wings that they use for flight, but the wings come from dissimilar ancestral origins, but they use them for a similar function. Analogous structures, convergent evolution. So evolving something that enables organisms to perform the same function. Okay, so if you look at this, sorry, I didn't mean you, I had to stop writing. So now we've got this nocturnal predator and this nocturnal predator, and look at it. They've both got big eyes, they face forwards. In the middle of their face, they've got a flattish face, and they've got these little ear tufts, which enable, and you know that birds don't have pinny. They don't have little ears. So what are these? These are tufted feathers that perform exactly the same function as the pinny of this little kitty. So this can hear sounds of prey moving around and catch it. So can this. This is binocular vision, with two big eyes in the front, face forward. Okay.
Wait, now this might be a dumb question, but the other birds have other birds have ears, right?
They do, but only internal. So if I went and took your pinner off, and took your external auditory meatus away. So if you take a bird and you separate the feather, you start at the eardrum.
Oh, yes.
So they've got an eardrum, they've got a middle ear, and they've got an inner ear. But they haven't got that ear canal, and they haven't got a pinna. Okay. So this here is feather tufts, which it uses in exactly the same way as a pinna to detect, to hear better, and most importantly, to detect direction of sound. So you know, like the dog goes with its pinna, it's trying to determine where that sound came from. Okay, that's what this is able to do. Okay, So here are two mammals that are not related at all. Okay, so they are mammals, but they're not related. So there's a hedgehog, and there's an echidna, spiny anteater. And what can you see? A long probing nose, both of them eat insects, and spines to protect them. But they both came from ancestors that didn't have spines and didn't have a long probing nose. And they're both able to curl up in a little ball to protect themselves. Okay, so here's a mnemonic for you. Use it, don't use it, I don't care. It just helps. So he sees Sally during fall, and during summer sees Fiona. Okay, right. Homologous, same structure, different function. Analogous, different structure, same function. Okay, use it, don't use it, I don't care. So we're looking at fields of evidence for evolution. Fossil record, descent, modification, structural similarities, biogeography. And you do know that once upon a time, all the land on Earth was one little landmass called? Pardon?
Pangea.
Good. Okay. Yep. Pardon?
No, nothing. I'm going to take geography first answering.
Okay. You're allowed to, that's fine. So you're happy that there was Pangea. Okay. And then Pangea separated into two subcontinents. Go, Sash.
And Laurasia. I don't even do geo.
Gondwanaland and Laurasia. So Laurasia and Gondwanaland. Okay, and then that separated into the different continents. Where did India come from?
From Africa.
Yes, from Gondwanaland, and it moved up and it joined with the Asian continents, and that's where the Himalayas came from, because the two things collided and they did fold mountains between them. So a whole lot of India arose from Africa. Okay, right, we're happy with that. So that's basically what biogeography is about. And basically it goes, look, this used to fit in there. See? Puzzle pieces. Okay? India came from down here. Okay. And basically what this is saying is, obviously, therefore, there are rock strata here that correspond to rock strata here. Okay? In addition to that, there are fossils in those rock strata that are the same. Okay? But from the time period that these two continents separated from each other, life is diversified. So if they know that the separation occurred at that time period, then what has happened is since that time period, these organisms have evolved in one way, and these organisms have evolved in a different way. But originally they were very similar. Okay, does that make sense?
Wait, man, can you just go back? What is Wallace's line?
It's a line over here.
Okay. Wallace is like, I have a map.
No. Wallace was talking to his girlfriend and he was doodling as he... And a line. No, Wallace is actually a guy in the whole evolution thing. We'll talk about it. Okay. What his line was, I have no idea. Okay. Other than the fact there was a line down there. Similar climatic regions obviously have ecological equivalents. Okay, so these large flightless birds, so an ostrich in southern Africa, an emu and a rhea in South America, very similar structures, but in fact have different origins.
That's great.
Oh, you do know that when they are ready to mate, when they want to mate, they do red legs and necks and other body regions. Okay, all right. These are rodents in South America. No other continent has got marsupials other than Australia, New Zealand, Tasmania. Yeah, and they all evolved their own thing. But they evolved after Australia and that had separated. Okay, Africa has antelope. Africa and a little bit of like Saudi Arabia and what all. But no antelope in North America, South America. Okay, right. So this shows the geographic distribution of organisms on Earth follows patterns that are best explained by evolution in combination with the movement of tectonic plates. So that's what I've explained to you already. For example, broad groupings of organisms that already evolved before the breakup of Pangea tend to be distributed worldwide. But things that have evolved since then are unique to those particular areas in which they evolved, which makes a lot of sense. Okay. So because Australia was isolated by water for millions of years, marsupials were able to evolve without competition from other mammal species elsewhere in the world, and therefore they're very diverse and they form a wide range of ecological roles and ecological niches because of that. Does that make sense, guys? Because Australia's been down there for a long time on their own. That's why they have that funny accent. Okay. Right, blah, blah. Okay. So these 4 slides on biogeography are evidence for evolution, and so these similar things all down there in Oz. Okay. So differences between species on different continents are much greater than the differences between species on one continent. Okay, so what does that mean? If you look at Africa, the differences between the species in Africa, not as great as the differences between the species in Africa and the species in South America. So these things evolved, and these things evolved. They're different to each other, but not as different as they are to the organisms on a different continent. Does that make sense? All evidence. Yep.
So what about like big cats? So would a big cat lion be, therefore, with that same kind of logic, be more related to other African animals than it would be to a panda in South America?
Yeah, but certain of those things spread before the continents separated.
So it's talking about the things that have evolved after.
Yes.
Okay, I understand.
That makes sense, guys? Okay. Next one. Genetics and biochemical similarities. Okay. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. Alright. So I'm going to explain it with the diagram and then go back to those other slides, and it's hopefully will make a lot of sense. Okay. So what this is looking at is, and you have to understand it to be able to interpret it. Okay. It's looking at the amino acids that make up hemoglobin A. So remember, and I spoke about this when I spoke about sickle cell anemia. There are 2 alpha chains in hemoglobin. They're identical to each other. And there are 2 beta chains that are identical to each other. Okay. So these are the alpha chains within hemoglobin. So together, this is hemoglobin. So hemoglobin is a protein, but it is actually made up of 2 identical alpha chains and 2 identical beta chains, held together by an iron atom in the middle. That's hemoglobin. Now this is comparing the sequence of amino acids in the alpha chains of some organisms. And what does the sequence of amino acids tell you? It tells you the sequence of nucleotides in RNA, which tells you the sequence of nucleotides in DNA. Because remember, DNA determines what RNA is made, RNA determines what proteins are made. In other words, what amino acids are put together. So if you can look at how similar the sequence of amino acids is, which amino acids are there, you can tell how similar the DNA was. Does that make sense? Give me a nod, Matthew.
To be honest,
Did you nod off to sleep there?
yeah.
Okay. Alright, let's go through this. Okay, so remember that amino acids are put together in a sequence to make up a protein. What determined that sequence? What determined that was RNA. Messenger RNA. So messenger RNA had a particular sequence, and what determined that sequence? DNA. Let's just tell you that, but don't get the camera. Okay. Right. So, if amino acids are compared and they are found to be very different, it tells you that the DNA is very different.
Talk about between different organisms.
Pardon?
Different to what? Just
Between different organisms.
Right.
So if I want to say to you, how close are humans to chimpanzees? Okay, how closely related are humans, chimpanzees, and dolphins? Okay, which two are more related of those? Then I would take a particular protein, and in this case, the particular protein that I've chosen is the alpha chain of hemoglobin. So I've taken alpha chain of hemoglobin from all of those animals. In fact, there's 3 animals that we're comparing here, 4 animals. We're looking at humans, we're looking at chimpanzees, and we're looking at gorillas, and we're looking at Atlantic bottlenose dolphins. Okay, so gorilla, human, this is the bottlenose dolphin. It's not a turtle, even though it looks like a turtle. Okay, gorilla, human, bottlenose dolphin. Okay, and what we're looking at is the particular proteins, amino acids. So if this first amino acid is valine, then there's valine. Okay. If this one is histidine, then that's histidine. So we're giving them letters which show which amino acids they are. Okay, so let's look. All of them start with valine. All of them have histidine. All of them have leucine. All of them have tryptophan. But if you look at the fifth amino acid, okay, gorillas and humans are the same, but the bottlenose dolphin is different. Okay, so that if you look, which organisms of those 3 are most similar and which is quite similar but less similar to the others. Gorillas and humans, very similar. Because look, are there any differences between them? Here we've got a difference. Other than that, exactly the same. But the bottlenose dolphin, even though there are many similarities, has more differences.
Why does it say consensus at the bottom of all of those?
Oh, it's saying whether they're the same or whether they're different. So it's telling you that here we've got a difference, there we've got a difference. But these ones is all consensus, they're exactly the same. So what are you saying here? If you had to put it on a phylogenetic tree, you would say humans and gorillas and bottlenose dolphins. Okay, so we came from common ancestor. There's evidence for that because of all the similarities, but bottlenose dolphins are more different to the other 2 than these 2. So these 2 evolved from a similar line. Bottlenose dolphins diverged somewhere back then. William?
Are they always from the hemoglobin alpha chain?
No.
Oh, this is just an example.
Could have used any. Yeah, could have used insulin.
Okay.
Okay.
Now if you're not talking about humans, how do you know which ones before and that humans and gorillas, like if it was a different organisms, they didn't diverge and then it was dolphins? If you're going up in years. I don't
I'm
know
not sure what you're asking me. Say it again.
So instead of having the dolphins branch off before, right, back earlier in time, and then gorillas and dolphins, if it was a different species that we didn't know about, how would you know which order to put them and not have humans and gorillas before and bottlenose dolphins after? Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. I'm trying to give a good answer. And my head's not making a good answer. I'll try and go back to it. Okay. Are you happy? Do you understand this? Okay, then I'm not going to go back to the text because it's just a lot of, it just tells you that.
Also, just because their amino acids are the same, does not not mean that their DNA is similar but not identical, because of the whole redundancy thing with the amino acids.
It could be redundancy, but what made the difference between them? Okay. Let me think of a way to express this. I know what you're saying. So you're saying this may have value, but there's 6 different things that coded for value.
So
there
just
might be slight differences.
just because all their proteins are the same doesn't mean their DNA is the same.
No, but the implication is that it's probably the same. But a slight difference, a difference in one nucleotide, still means that they were similar. More similar than something which gives a whole lot of very different amino acids. Okay. I promise you I am still thinking. Embryological similarities as field 6. And this is very interesting. Embryos of different classes of vertebrates are very similar in the early stages of their development. So if you look at an embryo at a particular stage of development of a fish, a reptile, a bird, and a human, they're completely the same. To the extent that human embryo has gill slits in the neck at some stage of development. Just like fish have gill slits because they develop gills, reptiles have gill slits, birds have gill slits, humans also at one stage in their embryological development have gill slits. But we don't have gills. What does it mean? It means that we came from an ancestor that did at one stage have gills. And if you look at the blood vessels in the neck region of an adult fish with lots of blood vessels going to the gills,